Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me an opportunity to comment on this very, very, very important bill of public participation. The first question, Mr. Speaker, sir, that I want to pose out there is whether the public is aware of the constitutionality of the term public participation. And if I was to answer on behalf of the public that I represent, the answer is yes. But however, the way, the process of engaging the public in decision-making in this country is wanting, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, in most cases, when an exercise of public participation is carried out, you will realize that there is a huge disconnect between what is being shared to the public vis-a-vis what is going to happen. For instance, sometimes the language used could be a barrier. So you'll find that the county government, for instance, of Narok County, would go to Elangaro Sain and will speak to the people there about why they want to do certain things, why they want to bring up certain policies, and they will be communicating them in English. And these people do not even understand English. So of course everybody will be nodding and saying, okay, or they'll just be sitting there and watching. So I think this bill is very, very, very important because it has to set certain requirements on how this process or how the citizens will be included in the decision making. Mr. Speaker, sir, public participation is a political principle or practice and may be recognized as a right. And our Constitution does recognize that for us to be able to carry out services to the people of Narok County or the people of Nakuru County, those people's views must be included in the decision that we make. Mr. Speaker, sir, even the acts on the environment, water management, require for people to be consulted on how these services would be delivered to them. But are they normally consulted? If you ask the county government, they'll say yes. Mostly because they will put an advert in the newspaper, and the only people who will be able to see that advert are people, for instance, who buy newspapers. But how many Kenyans pay taxes, yet they do not buy newspapers? Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill should not only set out the requirements or the rules and regulations of public participation, but it should go further and demystify and also elaborate on how the county governments in areas where people do not speak these two languages, Swahili and English, they can be able to be explained. The problem we are facing currently, Mr. Speaker, sir, in Narok County, in regards to the Mau forest, and I want to congratulate the government for moving fast to evict people who have invaded the Mau forest. The reason why we are having those problems is because the community and the government are speaking from two different scripts. The community is suffering there, but they probably, some of them do not know why they're suffering. The government knows that the importance of our water catchment, but they cannot be able to involve the community. When people encroach, we protect them because they are our brothers. This bill, and Mr. Speaker, sir, this would be the right opportunity for me to say that I do have a similar bill, although my bill focuses on oversight, county oversight. And I know the previous senator who spoke, Senator Omogeni, raised the question of budgets. The PFM Act is very clear. It requires county governments to be able to seek or to consult from the taxpayers how they want that money to be spent. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, my bill later will be bringing the issue of oversight. But this issue of public participation, it is important, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we ensure that each county government, each ministry, before they can even develop policies, they must engage the public. Recently, Mr. Speaker, sir, we had a public participation session on the local content bill. The people who appeared in that public participation sessions were not the public. It was the investors. It was people who have interest in the extractive industries because they wanted to protect their interest. But what about the interests of the people in Turkana? How can they be protected? Yet their own government is not demystifying these policies, is not demystifying these bills that we are passing in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I fully support this bill because it will ensure that the people of Narok, their rights are respected. If the people of Narok question today, as they are rightfully doing so, the importance of a municipality, before a municipality is passed by the county government or the county assembly of Narok, the people of Narok County must be educated. They must be told these are the pros and cons of a municipality. You cannot just bring in policies and dump to the people without consulting them. So I want to commend the distinguished Senator Amos Wako for having thought clearly about the process of public participation. The only way we can be able to feel as if we belong to this country is when we pay our taxes, we are represented, and our views are also considered in every matter. Right now, Mr. Speaker, sir, the people who are being evicted from Mau Forest, they might come out from the national Mau and they move into the Narok Mau, which will bring in a lot of conflict. And I hope that the government is not going to try and solve one problem by creating another problem. They should really take this opportunity to be able to educate the people, those people who call that place home, to educate them that this is not right, that our rivers are drying, and seek their views, because there are people who are funding this economy. If you look at our tax base, Mr. Speaker, sir, over 40% come from income tax, people paying taxes. The other percentage come from VAT and other services, licenses and fees. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would wish that in this bill, the sponsor of this bill can also introduce a provision that will require public participation to be carried out in a language that the people who are affected by the decisions understand. If you go to my village of Olombogishi, the people barely speak Swahili, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, and the MCA that they have from that area speak Maasai. So carry out those public participation sessions by speaking Maasai. It will also require that when you are carrying out an advertisement for public participation, use, even if it is funerals, even if it is churches, use other avenues, if it is local vernacular radio stations, that people should know. I don't think that any county government, Mr. Speaker, sir, or any assembly in that matter should move forward with this issue of converting former town councils into municipalities without seeking the views of the people who live in those towns, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, in Narok County, you'll find that there is an old man who has 100 acres. And that land, he has kept that land for over 50 years or more than that. And that land goes all the way up to the urban center. His neighbors have sold land. And slowly by slowly, the town has now completely expanded, swallowing this old man who has 100 acres of land. The moment you introduce a municipality, you begin charging that old man rates. He has enjoyed having a freehold title for many years. He doesn't know that. Engage him, consult him. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to encourage that as we are developing this, let us engage the stakeholders. Those stakeholders are the poor farmers, are the poor people who pay taxes. Tell them that we are now coming up with a policy that requires you to be part and parcel of the budget-making process. Because when you have these county-integrated development plans, which are developed by county governments in urban centers, and just like what Senator Omogeni said, when the people want a kitchen, give them a kitchen. Don't come out and say, I'm going to give you, iron sheets. When the people want a hall where they can be coming in and sitting down and talking, or they want a road. Like now, Mr. Speaker, sir, Narok County is one of the biggest bread baskets of this nation. We produce a lot of wheat, barley, potatoes, but all that is rotting because the citizens of Narok North, for instance, are not consulted on what is important for them. Or maybe public participation is carried out, and they know that it is a right for public participation, but there's nothing written in law for them to be able to find what recourse or what they can do if their rights are violated. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the other thing that I would like to see in this bill is what if certain policies are introduced and passed, and it is alleged that public participation was carried out, and it was not carried out. What should happen? Should we resort to going to the court of law for us to be able to get a remedy? Or should we set a threshold on the number of local peoples or people in the street who must participate in the public participation session for that public participation to be considered as having been carried out effectively? Mr. Speaker, sir, I do not want to belabor the point, but it is quite clear. The Constitution has spelled out the importance of public participation in every decision that is carried out in this country. The people of Kenya know, but it is us, the government, it is parliament, it is the county government, the assemblies that try to circumvent that. They do not want people to be involved because ordinarily it will take a lot of time for that decision to be crystallized. Little do they know, Mr. Speaker, sir, that when you share an idea with many people, eventually what you come up with will be something which will be either intelligent or something that will satisfy and answer all questions that maybe the people who are coming up did not consider. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, when we engage our citizens in decision-making, we are empowering them. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to say that this bill not only seek to engage or seek the ideas of our citizens, but it is empowering them. It is giving them a right to walk proudly and say, I paid taxes to develop the country of Kenya, and my views were respected. Mr. Speaker, sir, with those many remarks, I support.
Many indeed.